So imagine this. It's, say, a Tuesday evening. You're on your couch, just scrolling through your phone.
Right.
You're not waiting for bad news or anything, but you're looking for a name, you know?
Yeah.
But the messages just aren't there anymore.
They just stopped.
They've stopped. Little check-ins, the memes, all that stuff about work, it's all just kind of evaporated. The contact thins out until there's nothing.
So physically it's done. Yeah. The actions have ceased. Your logical brain, the part of you that does your taxes, says, okay, it's over.
Exactly. It's over. Move on.
Yeah.
But then you're walking down the street a week later, and internally,
nothing feels finished.
Nothing. There's no period at the end of the sentence. It's just dangling.
A sentence that just ran right off the page.
Yes. And that is the exact gap we are getting into today. That space between it stopped and it ended. We're doing a deep dive into this. It's a really evocative essay by the writer and philosopher Pedro Malha.
It's called Sex That Never Found Its Ending.
It is.
And I think we need to set up the mission here, right from the start. Because when you hear a title like that, you might immediately think we're going to be talking about these huge, dramatic affairs.
Right. Screaming matches in the rain, plates getting thrown, the Hollywood breakup.
A Hollywood breakup, exactly. But Mala isn't interested in that at all. He's looking at something way more subtle and, frankly, I think much more common.
It's that emotional residue.
That's the term. It's what lingers after these encounters that, they don't really fit into the normal boxes of heartbreak or loss. The ones that didn't blow up, they just dissolved.
So the real question is, how do we handle something that doesn't even announce that it's unfinished? It just hangs around. He calls it a quiet continuation. And I have to say, reading this, I felt a little seen. I think we all have one of these stories somewhere.
Oh, for sure. It's like a universal ghost story.
Yeah.
And to really get why it haunts us, we have to start with the first big idea he lays out. It's really the pillar for the whole thing. He separates two words that we pretty much always use as synonyms: stopping and ending.
Right. And in my head, they are the same. If I stop a movie, I've ended the movie.
But he says no. There are totally distinct mechanisms. He argues that stopping it's external. It's exactly what you described. The messages stop, the visits stop. It's an event you can see in the physical world.
It's an action or a lack of action?
Precisely. But ending is internal.
So like a feeling.
It's more of a structure. It needs a sense of completion, a moment of recognition where you can actually point to it and say, that was the conclusion, that's where the story wraps. It's like the difference between a song that just fades out and one that hits a final big chord.
And his point is, you can have the stopping, but you don't always get the ending.
That's it, exactly. And when you don't get that internal completion, you're just left with this residue. He calls it a state where the experience never really moves into your past. It just stays there, unresolved.
It's like a program that's running in the background on your computer, slowing everything down, but you can't find the window to actually close it.
That's a perfect way to put it. And what's so fascinating is what he says is actually lingering, because you'd think, okay, it's called Sex That Never Found Its Ending, so it must be about missing the physical part, right?
Yeah, or missing the person's face or something. But he says, nope, that's not it.
It's rarely the specific details.
It's the atmosphere. The tone.
Yes, the emotional register. That distinction it really hit me. It's not the facts. It's the sense of having been held in a certain way or how you felt in response to them. It's environmental.
It's a climate. That makes so much sense. You can throw away a photo, but you can't really throw away humidity.
You can't. And because it's a climate, the memories come back in this very tricky way. He calls them sideways memories.
Sideways memories. I loved that phrase. It sounds so strange, but it feels completely right. What does that actually look like?
So a normal linear memory is like a movie clip. You actively remember a specific conversation. It has a script.
You can play it back.
You can play it back. But a sideways memory is sensory. It's not the scene. It's the lighting in the scene. It's hearing a song that was playing in the background of some cafe you went to one time, and bam, your stomach just drops.
Or a time of day. He writes about a specific quality of afternoon light that carries the shape of those weeks. That one just destroyed me.
It's so visceral.
It is. It's not, oh, I miss them. It's more like the way the sun is hitting the street at 4 p.m. makes me feel like I'm waiting for something that's not coming.
And that's the insidious part of it, isn't it? If it was just a story, you could put the book on the shelf. But because it's atmospheric, it gets woven into the actual fabric of your daily life.
The loose thread.
That's the metaphor. The experience embeds itself not as a story, but as this loose thread in the sweater you're wearing right now. And you can't just cut it, because you might unravel the whole thing.
So we've got this loose thread, this atmosphere. And I think the natural human response is to try and figure out, okay, what was that? We want to give it a name.
We're meaning-making machines. We hate a vacuum.
But this is where it gets so frustrating, because the essay points out that these things are often unfinishable for the very reason that they were unnameable.
It's the definition void. And I think this is where so many of us get stuck, especially now. We want to say, this was my girlfriend, or this was a fling, or it was a mistake.
That these things exist in the gaps between those words.
He calls it hovering language. The language hovered but never landed. Think about it. When you try to describe that person to a friend, you stumble, right? Oh, he's a friend. We're sort of seeing each other. It wasn't a relationship, but it wasn't a one-off.
And because we couldn't name it?
We couldn't conclude it. And this is a really profound point he makes. Endings rely on recognition. To end something, you first have to acknowledge what it is. If there's no name, there's no recognition.
So the stopping can't translate to finishing.
Exactly. You can't hold a funeral for something that was never officially declared alive.
That is, man, that's bleak. But it makes total sense. It's the trap of the almost. And the craziest part is, a lot of the time, nothing even bad happened.
That's the confusing normalcy of it.
Right. Nobody cheated. Nobody yelled. The essay says people were probably reasonable, maybe even kind.
And that kindness, ironically, makes it so much worse.
How? I would think kindness would make it easier.
Well, in a breakup, kindness can be a trap. Mala has this line: "The lack of harm does not erase the lack of closure. If someone is awful to you, you have a grievance. Grievance is a powerful tool for closure.
It's a reason.
It's a sharp knife. You can say, that was bad for me, it's over." Anger can be a boundary. But here, there's no anger to build a wall with. There's just this fade.
You can't hate the person. They
Yeah.
were lovely. They just drifted.
Okay.
And that silence is so much harder to process than a scream.
Way harder.
So you're stuck in this silence. You can't name it. You can't hate them. So what do? You try to force a story onto it?
I know I do this.
The retrofit. The retrofit. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a lesson I had to learn. Or it was a phase. You try to make it neat. But Mala is pretty tough on that impulse, isn't he?
He really is. He calls it the myth of the narrative. We have this deep urge to tidy up our past, to turn it into a nice linear story with a moral at the end. But he argues that doing that is actually a betrayal of the experience itself.
A betrayal. That's a strong word. I mean, isn't it good to find meaning?
It's good for coping, maybe, but he's talking about truth. Think about it. The experience, when it was happening, was defined by its uncertainty, by not knowing what it was. If you go back later and just slap a label on it to feel better, you're not understanding it. You're just trying to be done with it.
You're prioritizing being done over being true.
You're editing out the fog because the fog makes you anxious. And the reason we are so desperate to do that is because the way these things actually end is so unsatisfying. He calls it ending by diminishment.
The slow fade. The agonizingly slow fade.
The thinning out.
This is what's so different from the movies. There's always a scene, the airport goodbye, the talk in the coffee shop,
Yeah.
the end card.
Here, there is no scene, there's no final talk, life just happens, priorities shift, messages get shorter. He calls it a gradual absence. And because it never arrives all at once, your mind can't locate the end.
It's like trying to pinpoint the exact moment dusk becomes night. You know it happened, but you can't point to the minute.
Beautiful analogy. And the result is that the encounter dissolves rather than concludes. And living with that creates a very specific kind of loneliness.
Let's talk about that, the private loneliness.
It's unshareable grief. I mean, think about the social scripts we have. If you get divorced, your friends bring you casseroles, people know what to do, you get a permit to mourn.
But if you're sad about the friend you slept with for 3 months who just stopped texting,
Who do you tell? And how do you explain it? You have to build a case for your own sadness. You either downplay it and sound silly, or you exaggerate it to justify how you feel.
we were basically soulmates, even though you never talked about the future.
Exactly. So what do? You just stay silent. You carry it alone. And that silence reinforces the whole feeling of it being unfinished.
Because there's no external witness.
Right. And there's another layer to this he identifies, which is really challenging. He suggests we might have a subtle attachment to the open.
Wait, we want it to stay open. That sounds wrong.
In a weird way, yeah. Think about the relationships that are closed. They had a big fight, a clear breakup, they recede into the past, their history. But the open ones, they stay active in your mind. We might use them as a comparison point or what if, just because they're still mentally alive.
Like a browser tab you can't bring yourself to close. You're not looking at it, but you know it's there.
And keeping that tab open can lead to what he calls a quiet wariness.
A protective stance.
It's not full-on cynicism like I'll never trust again, but it's this feeling that maybe all endings are provisional. You start guarding yourself, always waiting for the slow fade to begin.
Which sounds exhausting. So the big question then is, could we have fixed it? If I had just sent one more text asking, what are we? Would I have gotten my ending?
Ah, the what-if fallacy. We all go there. But Malha gently corrects that. He says sometimes the absence of an ending isn't a failure of action on your part. It's just a result of the encounter's inherent structure.
That's actually a huge relief to hear.
It wasn't your fault. Some connections just happen in contexts that can't support a conclusion. You were graduating, they were leaving the country. The space for an ending it never existed.
So it's not that we missed the exit ramp. The road just kind of ended in a field.
Right. The mechanism to close it didn't exist, so when it stops, it just leaves behind this shape with nowhere to go.
So what do we do with that shape? If we can't name it, can't fix it, can't hate it, do we just carry it forever?
And this is where the piece becomes really philosophical. It's not about advice. It's about cultivating a tolerance for ambiguity.
That is a muscle I definitely need to work out.
It's the hardest one to build. But the alternative is going crazy trying to solve an unsolvable puzzle. Mala suggests we just let the experience sit in the emotional archive. It's not active, but it's not complete either.
It coexists.
It coexists. It becomes a background hum. It doesn't have to dominate your life, but it's there. It's just part of the texture of who you are now.
I like that. Texture. Not a stain. It's just part of the fabric.
Exactly. He writes, the emotional system does not always follow the logic of events. Just because the event stopped, it doesn't mean the feeling has to be evicted.
It continues without continuing. That line just stuck with me.
It's a paradox, but a very human one. And his final point is really that that's okay. It's not a problem you need to solve.
That's so liberating. We are so obsessed with moving on. We think if we haven't moved on, we're failing. But maybe that's not the goal.
Maybe the goal is just to drop the struggle against it. To realize you can be a whole functioning person and still have these loose threads. You don't have to be a seamless garment.
So, for you listening, maybe it's an invitation to look at those loose threads a little differently. Instead of trying to rip them out or tie them in a perfect bow, just let them hang.
Let them hang. Acknowledge that not everything gets the dignity of an ending. And that's a valid way for an experience to exist.
It kind of challenges this idea that life is a series of neat chapters. Maybe it's more like a painting where the edges are all blurry.
It is. And so much of life is lived in those blurry gaps. If we can stop trying to force clarity where there isn't any, we might find a lot more peace.
A quiet presence. Neither heavy nor light.
Neither present nor absent, just
Yeah.
there, like furniture in a room you don't use much, but it's still part of the house.
We've all got a few of those rooms.
Yeah.
Well, this has been surprisingly comforting for such a tricky topic.
It's good to be reminded that the fog is a natural weather pattern, not a personal failure.
And for you listening, thank you for diving deep with us. We've talked about the anatomy of the unfinished, the trap of naming, and the myth that everything needs a neat story.
And remember, having these feelings doesn't mean you're stuck. It just means you're human.
So here's a final thought to take with you. Malha leaves us with this idea that maybe these things persist not because they're unfinished tasks, but because they were never meant to be finished in the first place.
Which raises a really provocative question. What if we stopped trying to force meaning onto things that simply are? What if the lack of an ending is the meaning?
Consider that. Sometimes the loose thread isn't a flaw, it's just proof that it was made by hand. We'll see you on the next deep dive. Take care.